In this tutorial, we'll show you how to use user forms. So if you're under the user form tab here, you're going to come up with three different columns here. Let's first focus on the column B and column C. This is going to be the main macro text, so we will be inserting this as we've done before. This will be the main part of it, and the general idea is that we have an engineer's name as well as an allowable yield stress. You can see here just a variable that's specified. This is going to print this into a cell. This will print that, and then the actual values for the name and the yield stress will be printed here, but these are going to come from this subroutine, which is coming from a user form. And so the basic idea behind this user form is this is similar to an input box. An input box gives the option to input either a string text or a numerical value in one location. The user form gives you a lot more variation to form a variety of inputs, including text, checkboxes, and things of that nature, which can be used to calculate values and then sent back. Once that's done, it'll be sent back to this main string. I know this is fairly complicated, and so just bear with me and you'll see how this all works out. So first thing we're going to do is just create a macro. We're going to call this user form, and we'll go ahead and create that. When we do this, we'll be when we're navigating here, just remember we will be in this pane back and forth, and I'll show you that right after we insert this user form. So we'll under insert, under this tab, the user form exactly where we want to be. We'll go ahead and click that, and that's going to bring up this user form. So just so you know, with that navigation, as I mentioned, you can go from user form here back and forth to module. If I double click, module is going to go back to where my main macro is, and my user form is this here. Now within user form, you can also show it in two different forms. You can either do view the object or view the code. Currently there's no code as we go in here because we haven't specified that, so we will start off with viewing the object. So as we view this object, you will see that we can edit it in several different ways, and this toolbox here, which came up, if this does get hidden, you can go back to view and toolbox. This hides and brings back the toolbox here, so that's where you can do that. And we're going to specify several things in here. First thing we're going to put in is enter a username. This is a label. You can't double click in here to change the label. What you have to do is every time I have highlighted this, you'll find that down here is the properties of that box. So I could change the color and style, things of that nature. So we'll go in here and type in enter your name. When I hit enter, sure enough it does change the value here, and under there we are going to create a text box. We have several different options you can choose from in here. So this is just a label for creating your name, and this will be inputted into the macro. Now also we want to create two frames here. The frame just goes over several checkboxes or several checkboxes or options. These are the options one. We'll put two options in here. When options are included in a frame, only one of them can be selected at a time. With checkboxes, I can click one or two of them at a time, or none of them at all. So we have only one allowed to be checked in here, and these, and we'll go ahead and change the values on these as well. They're done the same way. Here within the frame, we can go to the caption here in the properties, and we're going to type in what is the yield strength, question mark, and then down here for frame 2 we will type in which safety factors should be used, question mark. And so again, back up to the top, instead of option 1 we are going to type in 28,000 psi, and on the bottom here, looks like you can go ahead and type in 36,000 psi. You'll see that either changed it here or there. And now lastly we'll do these we don't want to actually, if you double click on one of these checkboxes, make sure to clear out that the material that got placed in there. We won't be needing that, and then you're going to come back to the user form here and go to view object. Okay, so again, this is the navigation. If I double click in here, it creates a subroutine for that checkbox. We don't want that subroutine, so just go ahead and delete that, and then double click, either double click on here, or you can go and choose the view code or view object. Now back to this checkbox here, I'm going to type in dead load, and for this checkbox we will do live load. Now one thing to notice here is that I will need to be referencing each of these, and so this one, when I click on it and highlight it, the name comes up as text box 1, and this one comes up as option button 1, this is option button 2, this is checkbox 1, and checkbox 2. So that's how we will reference those in the macros, and we'll show you that in the code that we'll input next. The last thing that we will include here is a command button, and right up top here, once everything's specified, we'll go ahead and change the name of that to start. So this button will be depressed once you have entered the name and the yield strength, as well as the safety factors. Now when this box does come up and we do press start, this is where we want to include the subroutine. So I'm going to double click on here, and this is going to create the sub macro that's based on once that button is clicked. And so we'll go back here. This is the command button macro, and so here we'll go in and Control C, and then click outside of that and come back here and Control paste. Now you notice that the periods came out as pound signs. We'll just go ahead and get rid of those. Those should not have been inserted in there. Don't worry about that, just make sure that they're gone. And this is basically here for text box 1, as you can remember the reference that I have there, that's specified to a variable of engineering. Yield stress has a default to 0, and then depending on the options here, which ones are clicked, if it's 1, that yield will be changed to 28,000, and if it's 2, it'll be changed to 36,000. Also, we have some default values for the dead and live load, and then when the check boxes are specified, you get other loads 1.4 or 1.7 respectively, and then we have allow Y, which is just a calculation of the yield that's allowed, and then this will hide the user form once it's done. So we will save that part of it, and we're going to come back to the main program. Now this is where we actually have to call that program, so we'll come back in here. This is the main part of the text. Control copy, and get out of that, come back. Let's see. Oh yeah, make sure you scroll over, sometimes it gets lost. And we will Control paste right in here. Once this is pasted in, just show you what's going to happen. This is where the macro will be called initially. This is just going to set the value of the string. Here is your user form 1, so this is actually going to call the user form. User form that we have specified is user form 1, and from there these values will be printed, and then based on these two values here that are selected in the sub macro, it'll come back to here. So we'll go ahead and try this and see what happens. There will be one error in here, and I'll show you what's wrong with this macro. So currently, again, just for review, we will be inputting this main macro here, and once this portion here, this user form 1 is called, it will reference to here, and this one will be called, and you'll go through these values once the button is checked at the end to start that, and those values will then come back into this macro and be printed down here. So as we go into the macro, we'll go ahead and call this user form and hit run. I'll type in my name. Again, you can see that only one of these check options is allowed to be checked. However, with these I can have both of them, none of them, or whichever. I will check both of them for now, and I'll hit start. and you'll notice there that the values came in here for printed, which is this one and this one, but there's no values printed below it. So what we need to do here is there's an important feature, and it's about these here. These are the declaring the variables. When you pass a variable in between from here, from the command button macro to the main macro text, you have to insert a global variable. And I'll show you where to do that now. If you go back in and edit this user form, we'll edit it. Now this is the under the main macro, under module 1, the user form. We'll go ahead and go to declarations. This is going to be, we'll be typing in these ones. So go ahead and copy those. And then we'll come back to here. You can see that we're still under declarations. This goes above where the user form is, and we'll hit, whoops, hit that there. Now you'll realize when I pasted it, it shows this, but if I go back to the module, you'll see that these are indeed here. So these globals, basically the engineering, which is this first one, or the first one under the user form, dead and live load yield and allowable yield, all those are passed from this, the user form. If we go to the view code, they're passed from here to here. So again, make sure that these show up under declarations, and these are under global. So it's just setting them double. Here is the numeric term, and then the string, that's going to be your text term. So we'll just save that there, come back over here, and we'll go ahead and hit the macro and hit run. Again, we'll type in my name, select the yield strength, hit both of these, start, and voila. So my name comes in down here, and the allowable yield is here. Now this is fairly complicated, and feel free to come back and look through these videos as well. I've included a help form for this user form for the homework number 2, so you should be able to go and reference that under the homework, which will include the more difficult version of this. So again, reference that help form under homework number 2 if need be, and go for it.